I wanted to show you some tips and tricks about using Google Slides to create graphic organizers and other materials for your class. So I'm going up here to the waffle and I'm going to go down to Google Slides. Google Slides opens to the template gallery. So there's all kinds of pre-made things that you can use to start your content, going up and down and looking at the different things that are already pre-made for you. But today I just wanted to show you starting from blank. When I start from blank, it's opening up for me in this layout. So I can go to layout here and I can see the different layouts that I can use. But for this presentation, I'm going everything from blank. So I just want a blank slate. Then I'm going to adjust the dimensions of my slide. And I want it to format it to be the same dimensions as a piece of paper. So I can go to File, Page Setup. It's opening as my default here. Here's the other choices, but I want to go to Custom. I have the choice here to give it certain inches, centimeters, points, or pixels. For this, I'm going to make it the same size as a piece of paper. So if I want it to be portrait, I'll do 8.5 by 11. If I wanted it to be landscape, I would do 11 by 8.5. So depending on if you want it the long way or the short way, decide which dimension you want to put in first. And now I have my layout that's blank and my dimensions the way that I want them. If I click on the plus, it's going to add another slide in the same dimensions, but not the same layout. So look, if I click on the plus, I have to change the layout again back to blank, or I can choose a different layout. Alternatively, if you want this layout to be the same for all of your slides, you can just do Control D. Control D means duplicate. Duplicate is going to make an exact copy of the previous slide. If you wanted a certain theme for this presentation so that every slide has like a black background or a certain colored background, you can click that as well. But for this presentation, I wanted to show you how I can use just a blank slate, and then I'm going to use some tools over here that are right in your Google Slides that you can use. I will go to the Insert menu. In the Insert menu, there's so many things that you can add to your slide to make it a graphic organizer or some other educational content. You can add images. So searching the web is going to open it up on the right for me to search images right from my Google slide. I don't have to go out to another tab to search. I can add GIFS and stickers right from that right-hand side. I also can add images and photos from my drive if I have any in there. You can also add text boxes, so places where you want to add some text. You can add audio, video, all sorts of shapes, even math equations, a table or a chart. You can even add diagrams. So if you wanted a certain diagram to show up in your graphic organizers, there's lots of pre-created ones already in here. For example, timeline. It's going to show up over on the right, and there's different kinds of timelines to choose from that are already pre-created. You can just click on them and then add your text and colors so that your timeline is already created quickly, and it's going to save you a ton of time. You can also choose to add more dates. So you have a choice here between 4, 5, and 6 dates. If you wanted to add another one, you could put 2 of them back to back if you wanted to do something like that if this wasn't long enough. You could also look at a different kind of diagram because there's lots here. There's relationships, cycles. If you don't find the exact thing that you're looking for, well, you can draw it yourself. So I'll show you how to do that next. So over here, I am seeing that this whole piece of paper is this size. If I'm going to create stuff and I'm going to draw stuff, I need it to be bigger so that I can see what exactly I'm drawing. So I can change where it says fit, and I can change it to 100% or larger so that I can start drawing something. I can start with my shapes. So if I wanted to have a circle in the middle for my topic, for example, I draw my shape and I can adjust it until I'm happy with how it looks. And then I can even go back to how it looked to see how it's going to look on the paper. Now it's a little bit low for my paper, so I want to move it back to kind of towards the middle. Then I can adjust it back and forth so that I can see how it looks, and then zoom in so that I can adjust my drawing. So for this, for my topic, change my fill color here to a green. I could also change the border color. So that's this line on the outside. I can change that border color, and I can even change the thickness of that border so that it's a little bit more eye-catching. You can change the kind of border that is too. Also add the text here. So you could add the word topic, or you could actually write the actual word of what you want them to be writing about. I'm going to highlight that text so that I can change the font. So it's not going to change the font if it's out here and I'm like this. It's not going to change the font. It's not getting any bigger because I have to select the text. So I'm going to click and drag so that my topic is now blue, and then I can change the font. There's a million different fonts that you could be grabbing in here, all kinds and kinds and kinds and kinds. These are just my recent ones. You can also click on more fonts if there's more things that you want to look for. There's all kinds of things that you could be doing. You could spend lots and lots of time looking at different fonts. So I make it bigger, changing the font, and then I can add my big ideas. So I could add other circles out here if I wanted, or I could add some squares or rectangles, whichever you choose. And because I need more than one big idea, I can Control D to duplicate. Every big idea needs some supporting details that are my reds. So then you can choose what shape and color you want to add for those and decide how many reds you want for each of your yellows and so on. If you are printing this, it was already formatted to a piece of paper, but unless you print it on a color printer, it's not going to print out in color. So you might want to make one that is your example copy that you might want to put on like an anchor chart or something like that. But you can also make these in grayscale and have the kids make their own colors. So if you wanted it in grayscale, you would just go back and take out the colors, and then the kids could do their own coloring of their own topics and things. Another thing I wanted to show you was if you are trying to format your shapes so that they look like they are aligned up, you can, I'm using the shift to select my shapes, and then I'm going to click arrange. I can align my shapes so that they have the same top. So you see how it moved just a little bit, so both of them are lined up on their top edge. I could line this one with this one. So I hold down the shift and click both of them, so it gives me this little kind of an outline here. That's what I'm arranging. I'm going to click arrange, and I want to line this time on the left. So you can see that that backed it up just a little bit. Now I want to align these two. I'm clicking, hold down the shift, click, and I want to arrange, align on the right. Lastly, I want to click these two. So click, shift, click, I want to align these two on the bottom. Now those are all lined up with each other. Then if I'm looking at my circle, if my circle's not quite exactly in the spot where I want to, I can change that, and any layered shapes, I would have to change that as well. Some of the fun things you can do also is adding in backgrounds. If you wanted to make this something that is going to be in your Google Classroom and it's going to be more digital as opposed to being printed out, you could add a background color to this, or even stickers. So if I clicked on this insert image, I can search the web. It's going to open up on the right hand panel, and I can look for backgrounds. I could also look for GIFs and stickers. When I click on it, it just put it randomly someplace. I can choose to move it someplace else if I wanted to. So right now it's kind of over top these two shapes. I can choose to right click, order, send backward, and keep sending backwards until I get it to the layer that I want it to be at. So until I get it to the spot where I want it. So it's taking every single thing that I've done and going back one step at a time. So sometimes it looks like the images aren't moving, and that's why, because I did a whole bunch of things and a whole bunch of clicks, and so it's going backward one click at a time until I get it to where I want it to be. Moving this image just a little bit really shows you the layers so that you can see the depth in there, because this is on top and this is on top of that. So I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers just within this little section right here. And then you can just keep working on it until it's exactly the way you want it to be. When you are finished, you can leave it just like that, or you could duplicate it to make another one. You could make a different version of it. You could add different words each time. You could have an example one and then another one that the kids actually work on themselves. There's all kinds of different things that you could do. Now, what if you wanted one that you could print, that you made over here, that your grayscale one, and then you had one over here that you wanted to put in Google Classroom? Well, if you put this whole thing in Google Classroom, both slides are going to be there. So to only have one show up, what you would do is you would do File, make a copy of the selected slides. So just going back, I want to show you this one's selected right now. So I'm only copying this one because this would be the digital one that has all the colors. So I'm going to do File, make a copy of the selected slide, and then I can rename it. Then I'll click Make a Copy. Now I have one with my new name and the one I was working on. So I have two versions. I have the one with the two slides, and I have the new one that I just made with just one slide. So this one would now be ready to go into my Google Classroom because there's only one slide. This one has both my slides. It's kind of my working copy where I'll keep all my templates. So I'm hoping that you'll have fun creating and making all kinds of great things for your class.